Hi everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Cozy Autumn book tag. Nobody tagged me to do this. I've just been kind of seeing it make the rounds of booktube. I believe I've watched Pat from Book Chat with Pat, Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, and Angela from Literature Science Alliance do this already, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot more, but I thought that the questions were super fun, so I'm going to go ahead and answer them. This tag was originally created by The Book Bell back in 2020. I have questions on my phone, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the first question is, what book always reminds you of fall/autumn? I have a few different ones for this. Some of these are from more so my high school and college days. So the poetry of Percy Shelley, particularly Ode to the West Wind, reminds me of fall. Obviously anything by Edgar Allan Poe. The first time I ever read Hamlet was the late autumn going into winter, so it's always associated very strongly with that in my mind. But aside from some of the stuff I was assigned at school, I have a couple more contemporary books that remind me of autumn a lot. One of them is A Skin Full of Shadows by Frances Hardinge. This is a really spectacular book for young readers that is kind of a ghost story that takes place during the English Civil War. I absolutely loved this, and I have really enjoyed what I have read of hers. Also, can we just pause to appreciate the absolute lusciousness of this cover, because it's gorgeous. I remember ordering this years ago at this point from Book Depository, and I am so sad still that Book Depository shut down and is no more. Some of the other books that remind me of fall are The Accident Season by Moira Fowley Doyle, and I believe she goes by Moira Fowley now, I think. And I love the other books that she has written that are kind of set around this time. They're, again, sort of gothic, light touch of fantasy. It's our real world, but there's some bit of magic to it, kind of similar to A Skin Full of Shadows, where it takes place in the real world, but ghosts are real. This is kind of, it takes place in the real world, but a curse or a magic spell or something like that may be real. I like to reread these books this time of year. And then another book, these are all young adult books, but they all remind me of fall, is Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour, which is a really incredible book that was so emotionally touching to me the first time I read it. It's about a girl named Mila who has basically not really been able to have a very functional family life, but she's taken in by another group of people who are these misfits and outcasts living on a commune in Northern California. I first read this in the fall of 2020. It was a really rough time for many of us, but for me in particular, it was a really, really all-time low of my life. Let's just put it that way. And this is one of those books that kind of anchored me through it. And I am always grateful to be reading books like that. So those are just a few. Number 2, what is your favorite autumnal book cover? I don't know that I necessarily have a singular favorite that stands out. I have a few, kind of like A Skin Full of Shadows, that's very evocative, and we're going to get into my complete poems and stories of Edgar Allan Poe over here. That's also pretty evocative of the season, but I don't know that there's a singular cover that stands out to me. Number 3, what is your favorite autumnal drink to read with? Right now, I'm really enjoying making a dirty chai latte with oat milk at home, but I also love to drink hot apple cider, my pumpkin spice rooibos tea from Trader Joe's, or whatever the herbal tea is that's got the autumn flavor from Trader Joe's. Hot drinks and I have been kind of having a love-hate relationship recently, because the same thing with sweaters, because it is getting chillier here and sweater weather is real, and hot drinks would be super warm and cozy, but I'm also running super hot because of my pregnancy, so I'm still comfy in a t-shirt even though it's 50 degrees outside. So I don't know, I'm still enjoying my hot drinks though. Number 4, do you prefer to read late at night or early in the morning? I don't know. Like, I really prefer to read when and where I can. That usually tends to be whenever I have a spare minute during the day. Because again, of the pregnancy, my like sleep has been pretty disrupted recently. So when I wake up in the middle of the night and it takes me a while to fall back to sleep, I do like to get out a book and read and just kind of do something that's calm and relaxing until I can fall back asleep. But I also read like right before bed every night. I usually read at some point in the afternoon where I take a break from whatever it is I'm working on. And obviously, like I'm technically like on leave from work, but I'm substituting. But when I'm at work, I would always read like during my lunch break, always, without fail. Number 5, Halloween is coming. What is your favorite spooky read? Okay, so this is where we revisit our complete poems and stories of Edgar Allan Poe. And I think that my favorite, and certainly the book that or the story that left the biggest impression on me, was The Telltale Heart, because when I was a kid, I had one of those little Great Illustrated Classics books that they make, which are kind of like abridged and child-friendly language versions of classic literature, and I had one that was a Edgar Allan Poe Tales of Mystery and Imagination, and it had this I can see it right now, this lurid cover with this sky that was purple like a bruise and a drawing of like a dilapidated haunted house that was this like dark blue color, and there was like a red moon rising in the background. And I feel like as this sort of young, naive reader, I just had this morbid fascination with this book. Like, that cover really drew me in. And each of the pages would also have kind of a simple line drawing of whatever was going on in the story. So it kind of helped support your comprehension of what it was you were reading, because sometimes, that could be a little bit obtuse for a younger reader to follow, even though it is written in more like young reader friendly language. And again, like, it was such a delight to have this naive first encounter with this story of the Telltale Heart, because in my mind, as a child reading it, the heart was a literal heart beneath the floorboards. Like, yes, you get older and you study this in school maybe, and you talk about how the Telltale Heart is maybe just in the imagination of the unreliable narrator, or it represents his guilt, whatever. No, like, child me was convinced an actual real heart was still beating beneath those floorboards. It terrified me. I took the book, I hid it like underneath the couch cushions and piled a ton of other pillows on it, and I was like, this is cursed. This is living in my head rent-free for the rest of my life. I'm terrified. I can't possibly look at this book or else I'm going to lose my mind. And I think I was maybe like 8 when I read this. I remember it very vividly. I was sitting under the dining room table, which is something my siblings and I did a lot. We would blanket fort over the table. So I was sitting under the table with my sister, and we were taking turns like reading passages of it and reading back and forth, and we were both just totally terrified by this book. So thank you, Edgar Allan Poe, for the lasting childhood memories of fear. Okay, number 6, what is the ultimate comfort read for you? Usually it winds up being rereading something that I'm already familiar with and I love. I mentioned a couple like Halloween/fall books that I tend to read again this time of year, but I also like to reread like the Tamora Pierce novels, specifically the Killadry of Mindolin, which is Protector of the Small series. I love to read the Dane series, which begins with Wild Magic. It's about a mage that can speak to animals. I find a lot of my comfort reads are books that I loved as a child or as a teenager, because those stories were so formative on not just like my literary tastes, but also my identity. Like, my identity as a person is very wrapped up in the books that I have loved throughout my life. And then I also tend to enjoy certain genres this time of year. Like a good autumn cozy mystery is definitely in order this time of year. All right, let's see. Number 7, what is your favorite autumnal reading snack? So a lot of my favorite autumnal snacks I wouldn't necessarily eat while I'm reading because they're kind of messy. But I have had a lot of fun eating and baking my own apple cider donuts recently. And I got this trail mix, I think from Target randomly, that had just like little peanuts and like yogurt covered Cheerios and little Reese's Pieces or something like that in it, that I just kind of picked up on a whim because I needed to pick up a snack. And it's actually pretty good. Also eating a ton of fresh apples. Really, really enjoying those. Number 8, what is your favorite autumnal candle to burn whilst reading? So it's basically just whatever candle was on sale at like Target or the craft store or something like that. So right now, I think it's a candle that's like a pumpkin pancakes scented candle. It just kind of smells like cinnamon rolls. It's really got this good sort of baking aroma to it. But I don't necessarily have a go-to. I kind of just pick up a couple autumnal candles when the season changes, burn my way through them, and then get a candle that smells like evergreen trees for the winter. That's pretty much it. Number 9, when you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? Oh my gosh, so many things. So I love going out and spending time in nature, no matter what time of year it is, but there's just something special about going out in autumn when the leaves are changing their colors and you can see like the animals, the signs of the animals getting ready for winter. We have this really giant groundhog that lives in the woods behind my house that my dogs are obsessed with sniffing the groundhog's burrow. And it's just really cool to see that and see like the migratory birds and watch as the insects are starting to get a little bit more lethargic as they settle in to burrow or lay eggs or whatever it may be. So hiking or going for a walk is always a lot of fun. I love to do crafts again, all times of year. I have a lot of different autumnal crafts I'm working on. I'm doing a lot of crochet, as you've probably seen in these videos, and I just have a couple other different things I'm doing. Like my husband and I went for a walk in the woods yesterday and we collected a bunch of leaves and acorns, and I was like, oh, we could make little acorn people out of this. Or I also really want to make like a little garland of acorn caps but jingle bells glued into them, because I just think that would be really cute and fun thing to make. I also love doing a lot of autumnal cooking and baking. Probably more so baking than cooking, if I'm perfectly honest. Baking is kind of the sweet spot for me. So I have quite a few different recipes that I am working on. So I'm making some Halloween snickerdoodles. I'm gonna make some molasses cookies. I'm trying this new like sticky gingerbread toffee cake type thing that I have never made before, and I hope goes really well. But if not, you know, you just live and learn. And I feel like there was one other thing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna experiment with some Honeycrisp apple cider that we picked up. We went to our local sort of pumpkin patch / cider mill farm this past weekend to pick up some pumpkins to carve, and Honeycrisp apples are my husband's favorite, so he was really excited to try that cider. And while we were there, I also picked up a bottle of the farm's blueberry syrup because I got the idea that it would be fun to try and make a Honeycrisp apple cider donut and then a Honeycrisp blueberry apple cider donut. So we'll see if that works. I hope it does. I hope they don't just like turn out gray and kind of gross, but if they're anything like the first time I made it, they're going to be awesome. So I should have some more confidence in myself is what I hear myself saying. Number 10, what is on your autumn/fall reading list? So I have made a couple of videos about this already, a couple of like TBRs and stuff, but I will just kind of walk you through what I'm in the middle of reading right now. So for my fiction reading project, my husband and I are reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley together. I am also vlogging this, so if you would like to follow along as I just sort of do my reactions to this is maybe the 4th time I have read this book, but the first time reading this edition, so you can follow along for that. We are also both reading Witchcraft, A History and 13 Trials by Marian Gibson. This is a book that we are reading for our nonfiction book club, which I am trying to finish in time before we meet. I am doing another read-along as part of Jared Henderson's Substack, like a philosophy Substack, and we are reading Aristotle's Politics. This is the Loeb Classical Library edition, which is translated by H. Rackham, and this never fails to remind me of college because I double majored in English and classical studies, so these Loeb editions, The green ancient Greek and the red Latin ones were constant companions for me throughout undergrad. Perusing through a cookbook that's new to me, but not a chef that's new to me. I'm reading Molly on the Range by Molly Yeh, which is kind of this cookbook slash collection of essays and writings about her history with food, starting from her, childhood diaries to her food blogging years to kind of where she is right now as a cookbook author, but also a sugar beet farmer. And I am about to start a cozy mystery just for fun that I picked up, used, and this is Lord of the Wings by Donna Andrews. It just seems like a fun cozy that takes place around Halloween. And yeah, I'm gonna enjoy reading that very much. All right, so that is it for the Cozy Fall reading tag. I'm going to tag some people down in the description. Also, if you see this and you want to make this video, please do. I would love to have you tag me or let me know whenever you do make a video. And I hope that your fall, or whatever season you're in, because I actually know I have a fair number of Australians subscribed to the channel. So whatever season you're in is going well and that your reads are good. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.